Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brokoff, authors of the leadership development books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. At Gapology, our purpose is to help leaders achieve their greatest potential. To learn more about our groundbreaking books and training services, visit our website, gapology.org.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. If you're looking for a great way to quickly get your team up to speed on Gapology, take a look at our video-based e-learning option available through udemy.com. The entire course runs only 1 hour and contains 41 short video lessons that will provide a solid base level of understanding around all of the most important elements from our flagship book. Just visit udemy.com, that's udemy.com, and search for Gapology. And tonight we continue our How Do You Know series by looking at the decision around the need to retrain your team members. This will be an interesting one for sure, so let's go ahead and get the show rolling with Mark Tinas. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I was just kind of relaxed tonight, listening to a little Diana Krall while I was waiting for you, just kind of chilling here. How about you? Do you have a nice, relaxing night?
No, I've been playing tennis for the last couple of hours, so relaxing it would not be. Singles tennis.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely an opposite experience, I think. So I'm in chill mode, and you're over there sweating like crazy.
Yeah, and I'm dehydrated, so if you hear it in my voice, you'll know what it is.
Oh, okay. We'll make sure you drink a little bit, and but that's interesting. So I know you are a longtime tennis player, and I know there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of training. And I think actually that's interesting because I think that ties into what we're going to talk about tonight.
It does. You're right.
Yeah. So, interesting. Because I was thinking about podcast episode we're going to do probably next week. I'm trying to line it up with a martial arts Hall of Fame expert. So this is a good friend of mine who is in multiple Hall of Fames, world-class expert. He has a dojo, massive dojo here in Kansas City, trains, young people, adults, trains law enforcement. He's an amazing guy. He's got an amazing story. And I wanted him to share his thoughts on relentless training, but I think we can really dive into what you've done with your tennis. I think that actually could be a topic that we can discuss as well.
Yeah, the only gap is I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
Soon to be.
So I've been playing for 30 years plus, and I literally have gotten better over that time. So yeah. I do train relentlessly and try and get better all the time. So, but I can't wait to hear from the dojo.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. So anybody listening, make sure you tune in. I'm going to try to get him on the show next week. I've already talked to him about this, and he's so excited. In fact, we've been back and forth trying to get him on the show for probably a year now. And I think we finally have a date picked out. So be on the lookout for that. But tonight's topic, we wanted to talk about how do we know when to retrain. So oftentimes as trainers in the training world, which is kind of where I live, we get asked to retrain people when they're underperforming. And so I thought it would be a great topic to go through and look at. So when do we know when it's time to retrain, or should we be retraining, or, those types of questions? And I'd love to get your thoughts on all that, Mark.
Yeah. So training truly is a never ending scenario. So that's good. And every leader should constantly be in the teaching mode so that it never ends as it relates to your leadership. It can be a bit of a trap. So we've seen leaders who retrain the same people over and over again, rather than declaring them as underperformers. And it can definitely be a signal that, hey, we don't have the right talent in this role. So be careful not to fall in that trap. But at the same time, we often find that the leader is the gap. They assume they train just fine, and they didn't. And we really came up with an incredible ladder that's in Gapology that really, helps. It's amazing. A Fortune 25 company rolled it out, and it's the foundation of their training, as an example. It's that good. So you want me to cover it real quick?
Yeah.
So Brian and I developed the habit ladder, and it's in Gapology, and it's how to create a habit, which is really what training's all about. It's often about, getting someone to a level of repetition of excellence within whatever they do. And the habit ladder, which we address in Gapology, is how you should go after the training for either someone new or a new process, or you'll see that it's well suited for just about anything as it relates to that. The bottom level is communication, which is the training. And most training stops at that level. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where the leader becomes the gap. They say, "But didn't we go through that? Weren't you on didn't you get the email? Weren't you on the call?
Right.
I saw you on the Zoom. I saw you on the screen."
Yeah.
So communication is not enough. The next step up is critical, and that is to verify understanding. So you have to know that the team got it. And just because they didn't get it the first time doesn't mean they're the issue. you as the teacher may be. So you need to verify understanding. So you have to get the group that you're training to a level of understanding. The third level is missed by virtually everyone, every organization, and that is to gain agreement that we're going to do it, gain commitment around it. So in some of the training classes we've seen that were incredible, they literally went around the room after they were trained and after they verified that they were trained and understood. They then asked for their commitment to it, and it's incredibly powerful. So picture a group of people raising their hands saying, "Yeah, I'm in. I get it. I'll do it." That's the third level. The fourth level is critical, and that's practice and feedback. So just because you know it, the verified understanding level, and just because you're committed to it, doesn't mean you're good at it. So the practice and feedback, which is the fourth level of the habit ladder, is critical, and it's ongoing. And again, sometimes those that practice and feedback longer than others become the best at it over time. So don't assume they're underperformers. They just because they don't totally get it right, they may actually get there better than others. And then that leads to the fifth level of the habit ladder, which is habit, which is where you want to get to. So the habit ladder is really a way to build training. So sorry, Brian, for taking so long. What do you think?
No, that's great. So a couple of things jumped out at me there. So first of all, to answer the question, how do I know when to retrain? That is your opportunity to pull out the habit ladder and really look at it and say, all right, so did I do all of these steps? And if the answer is no, that's when you know, hey, I need to take action. I need to do something different here. And when you're looking at your process of training, oftentimes people think the practice piece is the role play that happens during the training class. And what I'll say is that role play, all that's doing is validating understanding. So that's more of that understanding and communication level than it is the practice. The practice and feedback is that relentless training element that we were talking about. So that's that ongoing practice with feedback that helps you look for kind of the chinks in the armor around your skills and helps you to improve. So that was my initial thought on that, Mark.
Well, I love that. I love the way you describe the habit ladder as a way to evaluate how the leader did or the trainers did in training. It's a way to critique the training, to score the training, to say, hey, are we the gap?
Mm-hmm.
Or did we do our job? So the habit ladder is a high bar, but it works. So any of you that have not used it, you've got to get there. It's the only way to create excellence. The only way. You'll never get there otherwise. And we're very proud of the habit ladder. We've never seen it anywhere else. It's only in Gapology.
Right.
It's and it's like amazing. It's like, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So no, I think you nailed it there. So use it as a critique of yourself
Mm-hmm.
and of your training and of the team's training, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. I think there is a big temptation to blame performance, lack of performance, underperformance immediately on the employee, when in reality, most often it's really stems from ourselves, pulling out that mirror that we always talk about, looking in the mirror and saying, all right, so what do I own here?
I think it's the most common thing that happens is we don't train well and then we blame the people that we were training.
Yep.
You got to look in the mirror. You got to look at the habit ladder and say, did I follow this? Did I achieve this level? So yeah, training's a big deal. And in the remote workforce today, with people at a distance, sometimes not on camera, sometimes multitasking, answering emails, doing projects while the Zoom training is going on. It's difficult to know if someone got there. So the habit ladder works, period.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I think with this, Mark, is that habit ladder gives you the proof of either it's a training issue or it's not a training issue. So, and many times we look at it and we say, okay, so training was actually pretty good, but they're still underperforming. And I think there's also, the rest of Gapology we could look at as clues into the reason for the underperformance. So if we can say, yes, we trained them. Yes, they've verified the training. They performed in the past, but now all of a sudden they're not performing. We can say, all right, so it's not a knowledge issue. So it potentially could be an importance or an action issue.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The habit ladder gives you the authority to take other action.
Right.
It empowers you. It lets you know you did your part. So don't kid yourself about the steps on the habit ladder. They're big, but you need to take them, and you need to take all of them. So I really like that. That completes it. If you go to Gapology and you go to the knowledge gap, the 3 root solutions are training, which is obvious, teaching, which is what leaders need to do. They need to always be in that mode, and then talent. And if you are finding that you have to continuously go through the habit ladder with the same people, you likely have a talent issue. That means you got the wrong people in the role and you need to move on. And retraining is not the solution once you've got to that point, and you need to find someone with a higher talent level, and that certainly happens. But those 3 root solutions of the knowledge gap are significant as it relates to training, and really understand them, and you'll be much more effective at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going through and asking the big questions, do they know what to do? Do they know how to do it? That's knowledge and skills. If you can answer those questions, yes, then you move on to the importance gap. So here you ask the questions, do they know why they need to do it and really believe in it? And do they know when they need to do it? So do they understand their priorities, how everything kind of fits together? And if the answer is no, now you've identified that it's not necessarily a knowledge gap. You don't necessarily need to train. Now you need to focus on closing that importance gap.
Yeah, we've seen a number of scenarios where the individual knew how to do it, but they didn't do it because the leader prioritized things differently and gave them different tasks, and it suddenly wasn't important in relation to other things. So they didn't do it. They know how to do it. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's again often a leader issue. So the importance gap is owned by the leader. They have to be very clear on the expectations. They have to communicate clearly, and they have to prioritize clearly so that the team executes. So you literally could have a team that knows how to do it. The knowledge gap is closed, yet they don't do it because you as a leader have distracted them in some way towards something else. So be careful. Often you're the gap. We say that all the time. I wear a Gap t-shirt so that I can look in the mirror and see the gap.
Yeah.
I know right where it is.
Right.
And it's always there. So,
yeah, absolutely. And, on this podcast, we talk about leadership rhythm. So I think the importance gaps are really a great place to really analyze your leadership rhythm. If your rhythm is confusing and it's not consistent, your behaviors could be driving that lack of belief in the priorities, understanding of the priorities. So if you're kind of manic and you're giving a focus around one direction one day and something totally different the next day and then something different the next day, you're creating this whirlwind of chaos that if you establish a leadership rhythm around the things that really matter, that really helps to establish that importance.
Yeah, the leader's rhythm will communicate very clearly to the team what matters.
Yeah.
So make sure you look at yourself and look at your daily, your weekly, monthly rhythm. Have one, if you're in total chaos, that sends that message to the team. So that screws everything up. But if you're very rhythmic and, follow a pattern and you're very predictable and what you're going to ask and what matters are known by the team, then you move the entire team forward. So be predictable, be rhythmic, have a rhythm that moves the behavior of the team forward, which moves the results forward, etc. It also trains them how to lead, by the way. So you're modeling a behavior that the future leaders can learn from. When you talk to any great leader, they'll talk about a leader that they followed that taught them so many things. Well, be that. Yeah. Be that leader. So rhythm matters.
Right. Yeah. So I think we've given everybody a couple of good tips there. So first thing I'd like to say is just, I would say start with analyzing your results. Look at that as part of your rhythm. Analyze your results. Look for underperformers there. Look for behaviors that are driving those results. Look for any missing knowledge or skills. And then from that, take a look at your habit ladder, pull that out, go through that, see if, you own the gap or if it's something that, you do need to go back and retrain, and then develop some sort of methods to close gaps for your future team. So, learn from the exercise, go through it, set those plans in motion to create, a really solid teaching organization.
Oh, you're forgetting one big thing.
What's that?
Carry around a mirror.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the gap is often just us as leaders. And once we realize that, we can close it quickly.
Yeah. And speaking of mirrors, on the last podcast, we talked about your Halloween costume, Mark.
Oh, it's hideous.
And so for everybody, so Mark sent me this picture. I was dying. It was hilarious. And I'm not going to share it on LinkedIn, but if anybody wants to see the picture, go to our Instagram page and you'll see a picture there of Mark actually with a mirror. So he was the Mad Hatter in Wonderland with his mirror. So if you're interested, head on over there and you can check that out.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
It wasn't my idea, trust me.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Mark. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. All right, bye. All right, that'll do it from here. For more information on the Habit Ladder, the e-learning course, or anything Gapology, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology Institute production. Visit us at gapology.org.